Welcome to Witchy Shit by Design, the podcast where we call out old patterns, dismantle the conditioning of a patriarchal society, and reclaim the power that was never meant to be given away. I'm your host, Michaela Stone, behavior analyst, human design strategist, lifelong nomad, and professional life untangler. Here, the conversation is spicy, guided by a no-bullshit, wise woman perspective that says what needs to be said. This podcast is for those who are done living under invisible rules that keep them running in ever smaller circles, and who are ready to design a life that actually feels like their own. Through solo episodes and conversations with guests who are magical by practice, magical by nature, or a powerful blend of both, we explore the many pathways to personal sovereignty. If you're ready for truth, transformation, and a little witchy wisdom along the way, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's dive into the witchy shit by design. Welcome to Witchy Shit by Design. I'm Michaela Stone, your host, and today I want to take you on a little journey. We're going to look into why witch makes some people uncomfortable and why wisdom still matters in the age of AI. So I spent the weekend at the first annual wellness festival in Trinidad, Colorado. That's my current hometown. And it was an incredible event. People came from near and far, literally. They all came because the person who had organized it all is so well known and so popular that people wanted to be a part of it. There were practitioners, healers, coaches, readers, body workers, artists, crystal sellers, massage therapists, all sorts of people, all brought together by her vision and her aligned band of compadres. All kinds of people who genuinely care about helping others live healthier, more connected lives. And they all showed up. I met some wonderful people. I had fascinating conversations. And I was reminded of something that comes up over and over again whenever I talk about my podcast, my summit, or any of my work. Someone at some point will ask something along the lines of, "So, why do you call yourself a witch?" Or someone this weekend outright stated, "I don't like the word witch," and she told me she'd been avoiding me all weekend because of it. I was very, very upfront about my witchiness. And sometimes people don't say anything, but they just get uncomfortable. And you can kind of tell. So let's talk about that. The word witch, it's an interesting word. For some people, it evokes empowerment. For others, it evokes fear. For others still, it evokes religion or rebellion against religion. Woo, cue panic right here. Or, it's danger of some sort, probably to do with houses falling on people and losing their shoes or something. But really, that's where a lot of people get their stories about witches. And what fascinates me is that people rarely react to the person standing in front of them. They react to the story that they already carry around that covers that word for them. And they honestly haven't looked at it. It's been unexamined. They just assume which equals bad, a variety of bad, whatever that looks like. Maybe I'm going to turn you into a newt. And as I've said many times before, if I could turn people into newts, there would be a hell of a lot of newts around here. And there aren't. So, take that as you will. But a lot of things in life are assumed and not actually explored. Not just witches, not just human design or spirituality, politics, how to handle money. None of these things. We don't assume, we do assume. We don't sort of examine our assumptions. That's the thing. We respond to the story that we've, without thought, accepted as truth. And we will use that before we ever accept or respond to the reality in front of us. So, sticking with witch for a while, funnily enough, I'm going to give you my version of witch and what it is and what it isn't. So, when I use the word witch, I'm not talking about casting spells and turning people into newts Although, really, don't test me. Just don't. A witch is not someone who looks to control other people. There is no dogma to slavishly follow. And I'm certainly not talking about evil. By the way, did you know that evil is an Abrahamic religious concept? It is not widely accepted around the world by other than the Abrahamic religions. So that's something to be aware of, because I think a lot of people just assume that their religious belief is everybody's. And nope, not everybody agrees with that. Not everybody goes with original sin either. So to me, a witch is a woman who refuses to abandon herself. It's a woman who pays attention to the subtext of the rules and strictures around them. I mean, ask yourself, who benefits from these rules? It's not you. So, yeah, she's a woman who questions authority when authority deserves to be questioned, which, frankly, these days is pretty much all the time. A witch is also a woman who trusts her intuition, a woman who can learn, a woman who remembers who she came to be, and someone who understands that wisdom, rather than following the herd, matters. So, historically, many women who were healers, herbalists, midwives, wise women, intuitive women, outspoken, inconvenient women, even just beautiful women who said no, were labeled witches and then persecuted for these supposed crimes. I mean, seriously, look it up. You will find the history is rich. And often they were so designated and persecuted because they threatened the existing power structures. You know, when a wise woman who's able to heal using herbs and tinctures is more successful than the church's prayers, guess who gets pissed in a hurry? Aha, it's not the herbs. Okay. So sometimes the problem was because these women knew things that others didn't know. And, people fear what they don't know, they fear what they don't understand. Sometimes a woman simply refused to conform, and that was enough. So that's the lineage that interests me. It's not a fear thing, like, fear me, I'm going to turn you into something. Nope. It's wisdom. It's the non-conformity. It's the chutzpah to stand up and say, you know what? No, we're not doing that. So, what I saw at this festival was kind of interesting. I've been a bit of a hermit for a while, as you may know. If you know me, you know that. And so, this is a sort of foray out into the world of people. And something that struck me this weekend was how many people were looking for something. Not really more information, because we're drowning in that, but they were looking for wisdom. And, some small portion of the information we are drowning in might be accurate, but an awful lot of it isn't. So, what do you do with that? I mean, you can Google almost anything, sure. You can ask ChatGPT. Pretty much, if you can think of it, it will try and answer you. And, you deserve the answer you ask for. But you can also watch videos. You can get information everywhere. It's hard to avoid it. But wisdom does not seem to be everywhere. So, as I watched people walking around that festival with questions that seemed on the surface to be, how does human design work? How do I trust that? The real question was more like, can I trust myself to know the difference? Am I broken? Do I need to fix something? Why do I keep doing these same behaviors over and over again? Or some would question their purpose, right? We all question that at some point. At least I hope we all question that at some point. It's worth knowing, what is what is your purpose? What is your point? Why are you here? How do you stop feeling stuck? How can I become more of me and less of who I've been told to be? Now, those are wisdom questions, and you'll notice they're not easy to answer, in that there's no pat response that you can get from AI. That said, this is kind of a neat segue, I gotta say, even if I say so myself. AI, let's look at it for a minute. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. That's my stance. It's not going away. I use it. I appreciate it. I think it can be incredibly useful. It helps me if I need to do some research on something, or I got to create structure for how I'm going to lay out, I don't know, a program or something like that. The structure would take hours to put together, and AI can do it in seconds. What's not to love? However, AI cannot generate wisdom. And this is something that I think is important. People are very fearful of AI is going to take my job, AI is taking over the world, AI is this, that, and the other. I disagree. I hotly disagree because the element of human cannot be replicated. So, for example, when people are concerned about AI art, and I know there's a lot of people get bent out of shape over it, and they get very sort of snotty about if you use AI art. Well, here's the thing, not everybody can create a work of art to go with every single post they put up on social media, right? But if you can get a nice looking image from AI, why wouldn't you? However, what is the post about? Is there some wisdom there that comes from you and not some trite thing that AI is able to trot out because somebody else put it in there? Be discerning. AI is useful. And AI art isn't going to replace human art. They're very different things. They really are. And the element of human that comes through in a person's art won't be replicated. I firmly believe this. So, you know, wisdom, the human, is not going to come in an artificial form. Wisdom comes from suffering in life and figuring out what the hell that was. What's the point? What's the lesson? It comes from surviving things. Wisdom is in grief, where you learn the true value of love. Wisdom comes from mistakes. You bet that's one of the best learning places you've got. It comes when you have heartbreak. Are you going to sink or are you going to learn something from it? Raising children. My God, they can teach you a whole lot. Losing people, rebuilding yourself after can't speak. Life knocks you flat. Wisdom is embodied. An embodiment is not artificial. It cannot be. So I just want you to think about that next time you're railing against AI. Really, it's a question of ethical use of AI and not sort of using it in place of yourself. So, I know some kids use AI to write essays and then pass it off as their homework. Well, okay, if you're good at prompting AI, you can do that. But what did you learn? What did you get from that? You're screwing yourself over, right? So, look after yourself first when you're thinking about how you use AI. And I also want to address the hot topic of data centers for a moment. Data centers are not sprouting up like fungi because we use AI. They are sprouting up like fungi because greedy people in power want to keep all of our information. If they let it come and go, which it could do, and they didn't store it everywhere, we wouldn't have to have all these data centers. We've had AI for a lot longer than we've had a crap ton of data centers. So think about that. It's not what we're using, it's what others are using it for, which will later be used against us, right? So just think about that. Conspiracy theory, if you like. I'll wear the tin hat. I don't care. It really doesn't matter. Just think about it. See what you see, right? So human design, let's get back to that. Human design and wisdom. One reason of the many that I love human design is because it points people back to themselves. It doesn't matter what I say, you can have the expert's opinion on your chart and on what it all means, or you can follow a guru. And don't even get me started on the gurus who have fallen because of the Epstein files and those who should be falling because of the Epstein files. That's another topic. But instead of looking outward at all of these, human design gives you the information so that you can look towards yourself. It's all about how you work best in a flow, right? It's giving you information that you can then say, oh, does this work for me? Let me test it out. I like to call human design a living science because you're the one wearing the white coat, right? I can get your chart, I can give you the reading from it, I can give you several readings from it. None of that matters if you don't live it, if you don't experience it. So, as the Buddha said, when you are given information from a teacher or an expert or whomever, somebody gives you information, test it against your own life experience. If you find it to be good, take it and use it. If you don't find it to be good, put it to one side. And that doesn't mean use your all your energy to blast it. It just means it's not for you, right? But with human design, this is your blueprint. It's a map of you. So when someone gives you your human design, they give you the information that you're seeking, and it can be a pretty deep dive, I've got to tell you. But the more layers you get, test every one of them over and over again. And if you're finding something isn't working how you expected it to, there is a chance, a very good chance, that that's a place for you to do some work. Because we are told as kids not to be too much. Don't do this, stop doing that. You're always doing this and you shouldn't be. And typically, the things that you're told are wrong about you are actually gifts. And if you learn that about yourself and you see them in action, you learn a whole new layer of wonderful. But you have to learn it. It's not something that you get from information, you get it from application. It's a wisdom that you live. It's in your life, it's in your path. You walk your path, not somebody else's path that they gave you. Oh, this makes sense for you. This is good for you. Aha. Well, if you love it so much, go do it. No one can tell you. This is your path. You got to walk it. So, moving on to the summit, Witch's Rage is a summit all about anger and using that fury as fuel for aligned action. It's not for the sake of riling people up and causing a fuss and kerfuffle. No need. We have lots of reasons to be angry. This is more about listening to the places where something within you has been telling you for the longest time, no, this isn't right. I don't like it. It's not even reasonable. It's not sustainable. It's not true. I can't do this. I don't like it. It feels uncomfortable. And all of those things, they're coming up so much we don't even hear them anymore. And the anger that comes with that sense of injustice or that sense of no, we just stuff it down because you're told, well, women aren't supposed to get angry. It's unladylike. It's unfeminine. Um, like, how does emotion have a gender? How does emotion have a sex? Like, it doesn't. It doesn't have any of these things, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You can't put those attributes to an emotion, and yet we do, right? So I call twaddle on that right away. Rage is felt power, it's wisdom trying to get our attention. The problem isn't rage. The problem is that we've been taught to stuff it down and to not listen. And when you stuff it down, it comes out in your body in other ways. No wonder there's so many autoimmune conditions, for example. It's not in your head, it's in your body. And it's in your body because you stuffed it down. It's got to come out somewhere. So, this is, am I saying it's your fault? No, that's conditioning too. The fault is in the environment that doesn't allow you to be who you are. That's where the problem is. So I think right now, with all the systems around us that are crumbling, we are in a fascinating time. It's a time where information is becoming cheaper and cheaper, more abundant, more accessible, more automated, and more lies. And because of that, wisdom becomes more valuable, not less. The people who are going to thrive as we move forward as a species, assuming that we're going to move forward as a species, um, those people aren't necessarily going to be the ones with the most information. No, because who can tell how much of that's even true? It's going to be the people who know how to discern, how to listen, how to think, critically think, feel, connect, how to sit with complexity and how to sit with their emotions, how to actually feel them. And then, with all of that, how to make wise decisions. That's who's going to come out on top. So, if you're someone who feels uncomfortable with the word witch, first of all, I applaud you for being here. I invite you to get curious. What story are you reacting to? Did you ever actually look into the history of witches? Like I suggested earlier, there are so many sources out there. Start looking. I heartily recommend that you do. It's fascinating and it's appalling in equal measure. So if you're someone who's fascinated by I invite you to be curious about that too. Remember, artificial intelligence might be here to stay, and I would say it is, but there is no such thing as artificial wisdom, and I don't believe there ever will be. Wisdom lives in people. It lives in conversations, stories, communities. It's in your experience and what you do with that. And most importantly, wisdom is in the parts of yourself that you haven't learned to trust yet. So, thank you for spending this time with me. And if today's conversation resonated, if it sparks something in you and you think it would be useful for somebody you know to hear, then please pass on the episode to them, have them listen to more things in the podcast, see what they think. And I would love to invite you to join us for Witches Rage Furious Fuel for Aligned Action. The summit is being released in its entirety virtually on June 21st, summer solstice. And if you're looking for deeper conversations and community, come and join the sanctuary. The group will not get bigger than 12 or 13 women. If there's more, we will have another group and we'll keep going because every woman needs space to have her voice and have her space held. So until next time, stay curious, stay sovereign, and trust your design, not what other people tell you that you should be doing. Because that benefits them. It's never going to benefit you. Until next time.